How's it going, Andrew?
Hi, Matt.
That was wonderful.
This is the first episode that I've opened with a burp. Felt good.
What a great way to welcome our listeners to a new episode of Time for Fellowship.
Well, I was thinking about, we were talking about doing Time for Gardening with Matt and Andrew and slowly transitioning the podcast over to that. But then I realized we could do Time for Burps with Matt and Andrew, too. We could just do an entire burp-based podcast. I like that you have the sound machine going with the crickets. What's going on? You ready?
You?
Well, today, besides I had some fun hauling some rocks this weekend. A brother who we're going to be talking to in a little bit here, and another brother that we're probably going to be talking to in a little bit here. Brother Miguel from Kenosha Lodge had some rocks he was trying to get rid of, and I wanted to go get them because I have need for rocks for gardening purposes, as you know. And another brother, Jim, has a truck, and I couldn't put rocks in my truck or my car. I don't have a truck because it would take my suspension to the ground. And I found out that was correct because after hauling a truckload of rocks, worshipful brother Jim's truck was pretty weighed down for a truck that he uses for commercial roofing. And even that truck was feeling the strain. So moved some rocks, updated some things. They look pretty sweet. And tonight I did some in the dark mulching.
Ooh.
You ever mulched in the dark?
Mulching.
Because I can tell you one thing.
In the dark.
I can tell you one thing. It sucked.
Yeah, that does not sound enjoyable. I mean, I'm amazed that you didn't think about how much rocks would weigh, though. Well, I'm kind of amazed. I'm not really amazed.
I actually didn't realize that these rocks were boulders. I thought they were like a little bigger than your palm. I don't know what that size is. I thought they were like fieldstone. So I'm thinking,
gotcha.
The size of like a softball, maybe a little bigger than a softball. Some of them definitely were, but some were full on basketball-sized boulders. That was what I wasn't aware of, which they look awesome now that I put them in, but I didn't know all the sizes, so it was my back felt good.
I'm sure it did.
Yeah, we had a good brother time. Brothers in the quarry.
At least it's working out for you. It's making your planted areas look better for you. Getting stuff ship shape over there. You could have made your life a whole lot easier if you would have just moved out to Rockashaw, though, and it comes pre-rocked for you.
Does it really? It comes with rocks already. A pile of rocks comes with each house in Rockashaw.
Yeah, well, if you don't have a whole bunch of rocks already piled up as like a retaining wall or just somewhere around gardens or whatever. All you have to do is put a shovel in the ground and you'll come up with 10 of them.
But yeah, I was night mulching. Do you know how that happened? I bought 6 bags of mulch tonight. Went to my parents' house to get the wee baby. Some of the family friends were there. Got to talking. Didn't want to really stack up the mulch and do it later. It's only 6 bags. So when I got back at 7, sun's down, I was like, I can just quick lay this down. I'm just doing some spot filling around those rocks and some other plots. I think that I'm going to find a very bad mulch job in the morning. I think I'm going to come out in the light and go, uh-oh. I was crawling around on the ground.
I think you will as well. I think you most likely just made more work for yourself than if you had waited to be able to see what you were doing.
Yeah, I probably should. I just wanted to get it. Yeah. I don't know what I was thinking. But the thing is, like the very far back bed that's along my fence line, that one was the first one that I ever mulched. I didn't put enough. Most of the mulch is broken down. It's getting weedy, so I'm going to cover that. And then where I laid the rocks, I wanted to fill to the edge, so I just needed a couple bags to kind of spot fill. And then around the bases of these trees, I gave too much room. And so I was just putzing in the dark, crawling around on the ground. I did step in dog poop, which was unfortunate as well in the dark.
That would be another problem with doing it in the dark, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of brutal. But it got done, so we'll see how it went tomorrow. Time for gardening. Time with gardening with Matt and Andrew. Night mulching.
Before you mess with any of it, before you try to fix it, before you try to do any of that, please take pictures of it because I want to see what your night mulching job look like.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into the Time for Fellowship Discord right now, and I'm going to put the newest pictures of what it looked like with the rocks And then I'm going to send tomorrow, which might be a couple weeks early, but they'll get it. Well, I'll wait till the episode comes out. And then I'm going to post the images of the after. And I'll send off the night mulching. Sound good?
All right. Sure.
So to our listeners who are in the Discord, you'll know when it was real time because I'm writing check my rocks and posted a picture in the Discord. If you're not in Discord, check us out on Discord. You can get some random content. Some rocks, some mulch, you get it all. Time for mulching with Matt and Andrew.
Have you created a gardening channel on our Discord server yet?
I'm going to have to think about that. That's a good idea. I think that's destined to happen soon, where we can just post pictures of our plants. You know what? That's happening right now. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm just going to call it, hold on, Time for Gardening with Matt
Yep.
and Andrew. Let's go say Time for Gardening. There you go. It exists.
Yeah.
Now we can post all of our plants. Cool. Well, for the sake of time, I'm going to hit the intro music, and then we'll bring on the episode. We have a fun episode coming up, so I'm just going to hit it.
Loosen up your ties and roll up your sleeves. It's time for Fellowship with Matt and Andrew. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin or any other Grand Lodge or any appended body.
Here's to our brethren at home or at sea. You're never alone, let's focus on we. The love we all share is our God-given right. The glass we now raise, absent brethren tonight. Glenkinchie, Glenfiddich, spirited or not, brook water or sparkling from tap or from pot. The quiet brother alone, at this time in his place, loneliness melts to a smile on his face. To him we will offer a thought and a prayer. In darkness or light, our spirit is there, for he knows that this hour the toast is with him. Not alone, not afraid, his faith's not a whim. As his eyes glaze with age and his bones ache with time, he's lived by the square and the compass and line. He'll sit by his fire with wife or with hound, and remember his oath, together we're bound. The toast is to our absent brethren.
To our absent brethren. All right, we are here. If you guys heard that toast, you're tuning in. Matt and I have joined Wisconsin's 9 o'clock toast. It's a tradition that's been going on since COVID time, and it's still going. God, was that 5 years ago? Time flies.
March 27th, 2020.
And we're joined by a bunch of brothers who come. Most of these brothers that I'm seeing in here are common regulars of the 9 o'clock toast, though you never know. There's many people who come and go and join the toast when they can. And Matt and I have decided to pay them a visit. So how you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Good. Fantastic.
Wonderful.
So we got a variety of brothers here, and I'm not going to force them all to introduce themselves at once. What I thought we would do for this podcast is I'm going to go around the room to whoever's in here, and I'm just going to ask questions to people, and Matt's going to ask questions to people, and we're just going to...
imagine the mess that would be if you were just like, hey, everybody, introduce yourself, and 9 people started talking at the same time.
And if you guys heard those beeps during the toast of people joining in, that's a common trend in the toast. You never know who's going to ping in and what face is going to show up. It could be someone you know from next door. It could be a dude from Scotland. I've seen a couple. We were on last night with a guy named Andy who's from Scotland. So you never know who's going to pop in. So for my first question, I want to direct it to worshipful brother Jim McGuigan. He's the founder of the 9 o'clock toast. Can you give me a little background on the 9 o'clock toast, how it started and all that good stuff?
Yeah. I was the worshipful master of my lodge back then. And during COVID, it ended up, we had to shut down. And I was looking for a way to hold brothers together. And we couldn't meet because, well, the world was shut down, really. So I was looking for a way to hold us together. And so we found a brother's link to a brother's toast in Scotland. And I thought, we can replicate that. So we did that. Brother Mark from Scotland came over and came into the toast, and he was all excited to see that the Wisconsin boys were continuing that tradition here.
What would you say? So you've been doing the toast for now 5-ish years. How has the toast, Jim, changed your experience of Masonry?
Oh my God. I would have to say it has intensified it. It has allowed me to learn things and meet people that I never would have otherwise met. I would have never met the brothers from Scotland and been invited to come over and spend time with them and go to their installations had it not been for the host. I have gone every time that I go on vacation, I now try and connect up with brothers. I love that we organize events here. We have a brother from the North Woods, Brother Corey, and Nowak. He's actually a district deputy now, and he organized a snow and ice lodge. And this is a great place to come, by the way, if you are short of a guy for a degree or if you've got an event. Good many of us are going to Brother Napoleon's which tomorrow night. Or Friday night. He has a table lodge going on there.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I'm a newer visitor at the Toast. I think, maybe a month or two ago, I started visiting on Wednesdays when I'm editing the podcast. And then somehow I've been drawn in more days than Wednesdays. It calls to me for some reason.
If our listeners have noticed the drop in quality on the editing, it's because Andrew's multitasking.
Yeah, I'm listening to like 10 voices at once.
In your head. It's like schizophrenia.
It does good with my ADHD. I like to have two things going at once. The fun thing is a lot of the time when I'm editing the podcast, I'm usually watching Twitch at the same time. So I'm used to having like two things going at once. So maybe the sound quality's always been bad. All right. I got another fun question. I'm going to pick on another brother who's in the Toast. Welcome, Brother Corey. Heads up, you are being recorded on a podcast, so keep your comments on the level. Brother Napoleon, can I pick on you for a second?
Oh, how did I know you were going to do that? Sure.
So, Brother Napoleon, if you could introduce yourself and then tell me, what is your favorite memory from the Toast, whether funny, moving, or unexpected?
Ooh, that's a hard one, man. Okay. Well, first, Brother Napoleon Sneed Janzak, past master a couple times over, and like a whole lot of other stuff. I also produce a podcast as well here in the state. Gosh, one of the craziest things on the Toast. Well, now that Corey's in here, that would probably be one of the things. I think it was one of the first times that we took the 9 o'clock Toast until about 3:30 a.m. And we kind of set a standard with that. Now it kind of goes late quite often. And I know that was a record for a long time, but it's been beaten. But in those conversations, I think that we've developed traveling education pieces that were kind of just on the fly. We'd be talking about a subject, and it was like, oh, let's write something down and let's make it happen. And worshipful Brother Jim and myself would go on the road, and we titled those travels, Have Apron, Will Travel. And we took that on the road for a couple of years. So dealing with various aspects and, officers and chairs and things like that, creating harmony and explaining what it's all about. That was probably the most extraordinary thing I would say that we did it here on the Toast on my end of it. But there's been a lot. So you can't pick any one thing here. You never know what you're going to get.
Well, there have been a lot of ideas that managed to come out of this. I mean, the hopeful barbecue competition for the district next year was born here. A couple other ideas were born here. Whether they came to fruition or not, they've at least been chatted about, and seen whether it's something realistic that could, happen.
Brian Moriarty, one of our youngest members of the Toast here, still in his 20s, he came up with the idea of the traveling trowel, and the state Grand Lodge has instituted that. It's already popped around to several places throughout the state, and I'm looking forward to capturing that one day as well.
Heck yeah. Who do I want to pick on next? Who do I want to pick on? Hey, Corey, welcome to the Toast. Do you want to answer a question for me?
Go ahead.
Well, it sounded like a robot nightmare, so maybe we got
to wait until Corey's got a better signal up there in the North Woods.
Yeah, Corey's probably traveling from Lodge right now. So.
We might have to come back to you, Corey. You're a robot person right now.
All right.
Miguel.
All right, we're gonna pick on Miguel in the meantime while Corey finds a way to connect his potato to the internet somewhere eventually.
Well, that's good. At least I won't be the only one who picks up yelled at. So.
Miguel, what brought you? Can you introduce yourself and tell us what you first brought you to the Toast, and what is something that keeps you coming back? You're a regular visitor on the Toast. What keeps you coming back to the Toast?
Miguel Rios, Worshipful Master, Kenosha Lodge number 47. What brought me to the Toast was when I was in EA and we were shut down, and so I was told about it and I visited it and I started meeting all the brothers and started visiting once we opened up, started visiting some of the lodges, and I became a frequent flyer. And one of the reasons that I enjoy coming to the Toast is because I think of it as a think tank. We bounce ideas off each other and we look for best practices and we try to duplicate those best practices in our lodges. And what may work in one place may not work in another, but we come on here and we think about different things to do, and we definitely utilize this as a pool of individuals trying to get assistance when we have events and or degrees. Everybody is on here is able and willing at the drop of a dime to assist in any degree. So that's one of the reasons I keep on coming, because I enjoy the company. I've met a lot of good brothers on here, and they're always willing to give me a helping hand as I am to them. So I plan on continuing to come here many more years to come.
So the Toast is interesting in the way that you can meet brothers from who knows where, who knows when. Miguel, what would you say, who's the most interesting brother that you've met on the Toast that you would not have normally met without being on the Toast?
Well, we've met grandmasters from Belarus. We've met brothers from California. We've met brothers from Kansas City, from Florida, Brother Stuart Clemens from Florida. He actually came up to Hayes Lodge for their shed lodge. He flew up from Florida, and he was a great brother. And, we're planning on going to visit him at his lodge down there. So we've met individuals from Scotland, from the East Coast, Virginia, the Carolinas. You would never get the opportunity to meet so many people from abroad normally without attending things like this. It's a network. And, some of these guys have come and visited us, and we've gone and visited them. So, I find that pretty interesting that we're able to stretch out that brotherhood. As we are traveling men, that's one of the things that we do. We may not be traveling personally here, but we are traveling virtually. So I like that about this.
Yeah, it's a cool space. Yep. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I want to circle back to what Miguel had said previously about, being here for years and wanting to continue to be here for years to come. And this can be a question that we can open up to anybody, and it's kind of a weird thing to think about for those of us that have been around for a while. But do we think the Toast will continue to go on indefinitely, or do you think eventually it's going to come to like a natural conclusion?
I personally think that it's going to go on indefinitely. I mean, I've been on here on days where there's been one or two, and I've been on here on days when there's been 20 to 30 people. So every day is different, and I see it every day as an adventure. And even if there's one or two people, you can still have that in-depth conversation and still bounce ideas of individuals depending on who the brother is in attendance. So I think it's going to go on for many, many years to come. I mean, as long as I plan on being a member and attending, I'm not here every day, but I plan on coming as often as I can. But that's just me.
No, I tend to agree with you. I thought it was like, it's like one of those questions where you start thinking about your own mortality to a certain extent, right? Like,
yeah.
Is there a natural conclusion to this, or is this just something that's going to live beyond all of us?
Yeah, I get it, because you think of it, is it a fad? Is it going to go away like the bell bottoms? The bell bottoms came back. So, when you look at things, is it the flavor of the month? I mean, it's lasted 5+ years, and I think that it'll continue to last as long as you keep people engaged and continue the conversation. We've talked about many topics, as Brother Jim McQuiggan will tell you that he used to keep a list of all the different topics that we've covered on the toast. So I think that would continue as well.
And if I might add,
I think one of
one
the things drive that is innovations and changes in technology. I mean, how much more involved is this going to be? Or going to So I think there's the 9 o'clock post will change, but it'll change primarily from a technological basis, and then how do we interact along those lines.
Carl, are you in a fish tank right now?
No, I am not.
There you go. Now I can hear you.
I'm sorry, my microphone and I'm a good Milwaukee boy. I move around, my hands move, and then the guys yell at me all the time about that. So if you need to yell at me, so I'm used to it.
I just wanted to add to this that as Masons, right, we come from a long legacy, and this toast is Masonry, right? This is where what I like to dub the real Masonry happens. There's a lot of fellowship. It's not all Masonic topics. There's a lot of poking at each other every once in a while, little ribs here and there. But one of the advantages of Brother Miguel had talked about traveling without traveling or virtual traveling. We had gotten so many Masons, particularly in our district, to travel every single lodge just by coordinating dates and times to meet up on this toast to make it to every one of those lodges. And there are multiple people in this toast that have traveled to every lodge in the district. And there's that's the Masonic side of it. But the fun side of it is that we'll talk about barbecue and brisket. We'll talk about, who has the best chili. We'll talk about all that fun stuff that you do outside of Masonry as well. So it's a general camaraderie amongst brothers that come on here every night. And if it lasted 5 years, it's probably going to last at least 10 more. As long as that
the greatest valley of Scottish Rite. Don't forget to mention Eau Claire.
Yeah, Milwaukee, the greatest valley in the state, being Milwaukee, is always a draw. No, I'm just kidding. and see, that's the friendly. That right there is the example of that friendly banter that goes back and forth between us. That friendly competition that Masons always have. It's universal.
But
Or
just
you
so
found
you
a
know,
signal just to trash them.
Just so you know, that's almost a required exchange between anybody who belongs to different valleys. Okay, and it's the old my valley's better than your valley. My valley's better than yours. Okay.
Or my
Well,
brisket's
it's
better than yours.
It's just the greatest.
Well, that too. So and Matt's working to correct that. Okay, or at least verify. So depending on how that works out. So
Verify.
What happens there?
I think that we talked about the list of all the various topics, and there's something for everyone. We talk about sports, we talk about cooking, we talk about food, we talk about current news. I mean, we cover so many different topics that no matter what walk of life you come from, you can find an interest. And we have a lot of common thoughts and backgrounds that we can share different experiences as well.
Absolutely. Now, I got a question for Brother Brian here. Brian, if you could introduce yourself and let me know. I know in the past we've talked about how Masonry has to find a way to live in the modern time, in the modern era. Would you argue that the 9 o'clock toast is a good example about how Masons are modernizing fellowship and finding new ways in the modern era to do Masonry?
Yeah, Brian Moriarty, West Dallas 291, among others. The answer is yes. Masonry is a living, breathing entity, and some will say that tradition is the end-all, be-all, but at the end of the day, what is best for the craft and best for its members is the way forward. And the 9 o'clock toast is a way to embrace the digital aspect of modern day for the better, for better fellowship, better coordination, better engagement among members and non-members, frankly, and communicate effectively and in a pleasant environment with a bit of banter, as it was said earlier, but mostly in good jest. To put it frankly, I would say that it is a source for good, and it should be replicated elsewhere because there's lessons to be learned here about what we can do better, especially in a world that has been rocked by, in recent years, by an increasingly isolated environment on a personal level and just worldwide. People are becoming more and more isolated and islands to themselves. And connecting people, even if it's digitally, people will think some would say, well, it's not the same as it is in person. And I would agree, it isn't the same. It is different, but it is still good and it serves a purpose. So to answer your question bluntly, 100% it's a source of good, and 100% it can be done elsewhere. It's not something that's a unique flash in the pan sort of situation either.
Well, and you can hear, I mean, I didn't realize when we were talking with Andy from Scotland the other day, he was going from a Scottish toast to this toast to a Canadian toast. He was bouncing around the virtual toast scene. So, though we have this in Wisconsin, there's also toast going on in other places too. And if you guys want to check out more from Brian Moriarty and you have not listened to the episode, season 2, episode 27, you can get more from Brian if you haven't heard that already. I'm trying to make sure I give everyone some question time. Who do I want to target next? I haven't targeted Jason or Eric.
I was going to
one?
go after Jason because
Good, hit him
Jason
up.
hasn't had a chance yet, right? So, Jason, if you could introduce yourself and then answer if you could invite one Mason from history to join this Zoom, who would it be and why?
Okay. So, Jason Williams, I'm a member of West Dallas Lodge number 291. And the first person I thought of was my grandfather. He was a Mason. He was a member of Garfield Lodge here in Milwaukee, as well as the Scottish Rite. And my only link to him is that John Pettigrew he started at Garfield. Garfield, I believe, consolidated back in the 90s, so that lodge is no more. But I guess to my family, so it would be my mother, my aunts, and my uncle, Masonry was a big mystery to them because he would never talk about what he was doing in these meetings. And so when I joined 15 years ago, my aunt called me and she was like, okay, so what do you guys do? Because I never learned that from my dad. And so, yeah, it was, I don't know, I guess I'd have more to relate to him and be able to share some things with him now. So this is one way of sharing that with someone who came before. So yeah, it'd be my grandpa.
It's a good answer.
It's a solid answer.
All right, I got a question for Brother Steve. Steve, can you please introduce yourself and answer this question? What first brought you to the 9 o'clock toast and what keeps you coming back?
Well, my name is Brother Steve Mullins, and the reason why I'm come back to the 9 o'clock toast is for the fellowship. Brothers have been sharing degrees, special events, which I've been included in from District 12, District 11, District 10, and that's the whole reason why I come back, is for the fellowship.
What brought you in the door to begin with on the 9 o'clock toast?
Well, it was during end of communication about 2 years ago. I received a card from worshipful brother Jim McWigan, who was inside of the concourse area and invited me to the 9 o'clock toast. And ever since, I've been on every single night at like about 9 o'clock.
Now, would you say the 9 o'clock toast has changed your experience of Masonry outside the lodge at all?
It hasn't changed my experience. But my home lodge is very charitable. It actually goes outside of District 12 alone, which is out in, like one of our charities is located in Wales, Wisconsin, which is in Waukesha County. I feel that Freemasonry is a fraternity, and we need to participate and be included with other people's events and other people's charities. If you feel strongly about a certain charity, you should be involved with that charity or that function. If you have experience with other Bethels within the area besides your own home lodge, you should be participating with those Bethels. You should be participating in those demolay participant lodge meetings as well. I usually hear the roundabout that we don't have a Bethel chapter within our own lodge or within our own district. But if that's the case, then you should go outside of your lodge boundaries and visit these girls and boys from other chapters as well, which can be a very big deterrence on my frame of mind.
It makes sense. Yeah, definitely you should try to support the youth groups, and obviously you don't have one in your area doesn't mean you can't find a way to support these Masonic youths.
Yeah, it's just something that I feel strongly about, and I feel that all the brothers should treat Freemasonry as a fraternity first. So we're all brothers. Well, the biggest quote I heard from Joseph Harker when I became a Mason was, "We all meet on the level. We're all brothers." I've been very honorable with being a part of the officer line over at my home lodge, and I try to bounce off ideas from past master from Damascus, which does your opening intro for Time for Fellowship, which is Kirk Capania. We bounced off ideas, and he actually let me know that Brother Steve, you could be WM, you could be SW, you could be JW, but to me, you'll always be called Steve the Pirate. So we all meet on the level, and it doesn't matter what position you are in a lodge room, where you're able to participate in these certain functions or events.
Awesome. I couldn't say that better myself, Steve. But thank you for letting me corner you and ask you a couple questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew.
I've thought up a very challenging question for Eric. So, okay. Eric, are you mentally and physically prepared? I'm going to give you three.
Probably not.
I'm going to give you three quick questions. And you're going to know why that I can give you three, because they're quick hitters. Eric, introduce yourself and then tell me, who is the class clown of the 9 o'clock toast? Who's the most likely to fall asleep with his camera on? And who is the most likely to derail a conversation with a wild tangent?
Okay.
Good questions.
All right. Eric Harville, West Dallas 291. Okay. Class clown. There's just a lot of us. You know. No, yeah, Matt. What, you have something to say? Yeah, you have something to say, Matt?
Yeah, you're the class clown.
Oh.
Well, if you don't realize
I was actually
true, guess what? So
well. Then okay, I was nominated for that one. I was going to nominate myself for the one to derail the conversation.
You qualify for that one as.
I am a third shifter, and I'm usually on at work. And about the time they get going, the 9 o'clock toast gets going, I'm ramping up on Monster energy drinks and caffeine. So I'm kind of like that squirrel from that one movie, Hammy, bouncing around. Yeah,
Yep.
That's kind of me. To fall asleep on camera. Only because I've witnessed him more than other people. It's the often imitated, never duplicated Jim McQuiggan.
yes,
yes. He hasn't come around in a while, but I would also say that you could make the case for Mark when Mark was still coming around.
I think you could also make the case for Carl as well, or Charles, I should say. Charles is a notorious sleeper too.
Yeah. However, one night when Jim was on a cruise, he was on his camera asleep for at least 3 hours, and I went to bed and he was still on camera. Okay, so I would guess, and he was snoring. Okay, he looked very peaceful. Okay?
Brother Andy too. Brother
So
Andy
You could have muted
Scott.
me.
Oh, yeah.
You could have muted me. In all fairness.
They like the soundtrack.
Now, you brought up a good question because, and Miguel has just alluded to our brother from Scotland, Andy. His whole thing originally coming on the toast, because it's like 3 a.m., there when it's 9 o'clock here. So oftentimes he would just come in and want to listen, almost like ASMR. He would want to listen to what was going on. He'd say a few things, and next thing you know, you'd see him kind of nodding off.
Well,
So
Andrew, I'd
if
like
there was
to.
ever a winner, he's the original. He would be the original one that fell asleep on the toast all the time.
Max, that was a fast change of clothes you just did right there. You just appeared in a
forgot
tank
that we're
top.
doing an episode.
Well, luckily, I think Jim's recording, but you won't be on a recording on my end, at least when he comes in for our listeners. Brother Max, who you've heard him when he's come around on the, we're doing the quick hitters at the annual communications. He pops in, he's just in a tank top. His camera immediately goes black, and then he appears in a Masonic polo, and like 1 second later.
I'm so
Don't worry,
Superman.
we just use the audio, Max. You're good.
Well, if you keep that part in, I'm so glad that's my contribution to this episode.
Well, now that we got you, I'm doing a couple of who is questions. Max, who would you say on the toast? Introduce yourself for listeners who, if they haven't heard you before, introduce yourself and tell us who's the best storyteller in the room, and who is the most likely to provide a dad joke.
Well, I'm Worshipful Brother Max Skinnendor. I am the Worshipful Master of Crandon Lodge number 287 in Crandon, Wisconsin, as well as the Senior Warden of Rhinelander Lodge 242. And it is my distinct honor and privilege to serve as District Education Officer for District 3 for this Masonic year. As for who is the best storyteller on the toast, I gotta give this one to John, especially if you get him talking about food science. It doesn't stop, and then it's really fascinating, and you learn quite a lot. As for what was the question with who's the most likely to what?
Hit you with the dad joke.
Oh, Andrew, that's you.
I don't do dad jokes. When have I done a dad joke? Awesome. Speaking of John, I forgot that he's been lurking in the corner.
I knew that was coming. Okay.
If you didn't get him, Andrew, I was going to, so have at it.
John has a notorious trend of showing up right when everyone's talking about food, which generally happens around now, which is about 10:30 p.m. That's standard food o'clock. John, what is the tastiest food you've heard about in the toast that's made you the most hungry?
That's...
Oh, and introduce yourself first.
I'm John Pettigrew, past master from Hayes, and I'm also a district representative here in District 12. Food. Boy. Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to have to give credit to Jason there, because every once in a while on his picture, he puts a picture of a Chicago-style hot dog. And I just have this thing for Chicago-style hot dogs. I don't know whether you read my mind at that point, but that kind of gets me going. Actually, the other things, we talk so much about barbecue in here. I got to admit, that always makes me hungry.
The one that always gets me, John, is when Boyd's on here talking about his cheesecakes.
Oh, yeah. And then, yeah, that's right. How did I leave that out? Being the guy with the biggest sweet tooth in this 9 o'clock toast. Yep. Any mention of sweets or cake, or whenever somebody uses that word, a Costco cake, yeah, that sets off the alarms right there.
I'm glad you said that, because otherwise I would have brought it up.
Yep.
John with a filled Costco cake is a man. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I always end up very hungry. And you guys actually force me to eat late night food more than I need to.
We force you.
Oh, it's so terrible.
Andrew, maybe you could make that part of your nighttime ritual.
Yeah, adding a midnight snack. A midnight piece of Costco cake. All right, I'm going to open a question up to the floor. What do you guys think is the funniest thing that's ever happened during the toast?
Oh,
that's wide open.
Okay, so all right, this is an easy one, man. It just happened like a year ago, maybe a little over a year, and had mentioned brother Stuart Clemens coming from Florida, and Jim was preparing for Shed Lodge and cooking some brisket, smoking some brisket, and damn near lit up the neighborhood because his briskets, his smoker started on fire, and Stuart Clemens at the last minute, they had to go out to the store to get a new smoker to try and finish this thing for the next day. And Jim, you can tell it best, but Stuart, that guy had to sweet talk those folks to get the floor model and get that thing back over to the house. And sadly the Traeger was no more. But nobody said anything in the neighborhood, man. Thing was lit up, the whole night.
Well, Napoleon, the neighbor's garage had just burnt down, so by comparison, it was minor, So.
Right.
Yeah, it was definitely cremated. That smoker was no more. It was, and I had already made 4 of the 6 briskets, and I had 2 more that had to be made for Shed Lodge. And I was just thinking, man, I'm going to be in a bad place. I'm going to be sitting up all night feeding with my regular Weber and feeding little wood pellets into it all night. And I picked up Brother Stewart from the airport and told him, hey, we got to go see if we can't find a pellet grill. And we went to one of the local home improvement stores here, and they said, well, you can buy one, but it's not assembled. And I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be impossible without daylight, because it was already dark by then. It was the night before Shed Lodge, and somehow he managed to sweet talk them into selling the floor model. And then get this, normally they charge to assemble. He got them to give us the floor model that was already assembled, and they were apologizing for not being able to give me a discount for the for, for the trigger. I was ready to kiss them. Yeah, and it was, man. So we got it here. I've still got it. We used it for Shed Lodge this year. The new Pit Boss it's amazing.
You keep that from happening, right, Jim?
Yeah, okay, smartass. I know where this is going.
You don't use a pellet grill. You use a real smoker.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I mean, and that's one of the bones of contention that Matt and I have. It's I'm proud of the fact that I can set my smoker to go and overnight, and Matt he loves the stick burner, and I've got a stick burner too, but it's just not as consistent.
Yeah. I mean, they have their pros and their cons to them both. We just trash talk about it in good fun. So.
Yeah, but I like the old chips. I still use the old, chips.
So one thing I could add about funny things that happen on the toast is guys will get pretty clever and cute with the AI generating images.
Oh yeah.
Funny ones. John seems to be the target at times, all in good fun. I will not mention the other one.
Oh, they got it. You got to mention it. They got to put that on as a thumbnail. He's got it right behind his head right now. Brother Andrew has it right behind us.
Baby
we
birding.
Have to protect
baby
him.
Birding.
For our listeners, I know you guys heard our baby bird joke when Matt's teeth were all messed up that I was going to feed him hamburgers, baby bird style. So I made a nice AI image that's oftentimes my background on the toast of cartoon me, baby birding, cartoon Matt. And it brings me much joy and brings Matt much hate.
Facebook and Discord, everywhere else too.
And I want to thank you, Andrew, because I had almost removed that image from my brain. Okay. But now that you brought it back up, okay, it's reinvigorated. I want to thank you for that. So.
Yeah, it's a good picture. What would you guys, if you guys could pick one emblem or symbol that represents the 9 o'clock toast, what would it be?
Clock.
The flaming clock, man. There's so much fire in this toast. It's unbelievable, you know, and that's where the emblem came from. We literally have an emblem that was, you know, chosen on the toast. It was voted on. You know, there were multiple ideas that went out, but the square and compasses, and the compasses being at the square at 9 o'clock with that flaming background is amazing. It's what we do here. You know, there's a lot of fire that comes on this toast. If you weren't excited by what you heard today, I don't know what else will get you fired up about what we do as Masons. But that's one of the things right there. And Worshipful Brother Jim has it behind him right now. And truly amazing stuff goes on in here, man.
And I'll ask Jim if you can send me the full image of that. I'll use that as the episode background so our listeners can see it. Yeah, it is good. There's pins that float around that I have. My pins are in the garage now. I was going to say I could show the pin too. If the 9 o'clock toast could be a TV show, what would it be called and why?
I think the name's already been taken, but I was going to go with ridiculousness.
It's interesting because some nights it can be like Monty Python. Sometimes it can be like a full blown classroom. Other nights it can be like Cheers. Because
it runs every night.
It really does. Yeah, I love the fact that Brother Wayne Budwick had said that, you know, he learned more in 1 year on the 9 o'clock toast than he learned in the preceding 14 years of Masonry, including his year as a district deputy.
Wow.
I would actually, I now that you said it, I think Cheers is the best one.
Yeah.
Cheers. That's the best
that sums it up. Yeah, that sums it up.
Yeah, because you got Frasier. You got
everybody's got their things. Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to go where everybody knows your name, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
It's a classroom at the same time, though. And Jim's mentioned Masonic University, and so it's Cheers. It's a classroom. It's a mix mash of everything, depending on the night.
Now that Corey seems to have sound that's working, Brother Corey, can you introduce yourself, and can you tell me in 20 years, what do you think people will remember most about these nights?
Camaraderie, friendship, the bonds. I mean, that's it. I mean, I've built friendships across this state that'll last forever. I give my shirt off to any one of you guys. So I would say that's it. The bonds, the friendships.
I couldn't agree more. Jim, for our listeners, we have a lot of listeners out of state and from actually some random countries too. Shout out to our Singaporean listeners. If a listener was interested in starting some sort of toast, what recommendations would you give them?
Find a common platform that a lot of people are using in your area, and build from there. Some people might want to use something different from. I know that Microsoft Teams is one that some people have used in other parts of the world. But I'm a big fan of Zoom. We've used Zoom here. We started out with something different at the very beginning. So I would say find out what is the most consistent that most people have access to. Now, if you're going to do a toast, kind of figure out how many people are going to be doing it, how long you're going to be doing it. Zoom has a feature, I want to say that it's about 45 minutes where it's free in the free version. And then it just shuts off and everybody would have to log in again. But this is the premium version, which I want to say it's like $160 a year. And it's there's in different parts of the world, sometimes they'll have, everybody will chip in $10 or something, or somebody has already got an account for work that they'll sometimes use. So just find a good platform and then figure out what is going to continue to facilitate the conversation. So you have to have a host that is not afraid to kind of step back and shut up and listen to everybody else do their thing. You want to facilitate that sort of a discussion. You also want to make sure the conversation kind of keeps going, but you don't need to fill all spaces. And sometimes we'll find on the toast that things will get quiet once in a while. And that doesn't mean that, oh, it's time for everybody to log off. It's actually kind of nice to be able to know that you can hang out with your friends, hang out with your brothers, even in the occasional silence, and you know that they're there for you. So if something pops up in your mind and you can be comfortable, maybe sometimes you're comfortable in your silence with them, hanging out. Think of it like this. If you're a surfer and you're out there, surfing the waves, you have to enjoy your time just kind of floating and paddling and waiting for that next wave. That's part of the experience. And the everybody loves the idea of riding that crashing wave, and it's just absolutely amazing. However, it's also amazing to go out there and enjoy the comfort of just just listening to the surf. Or, for instance, Matt, you're a hunter, right? You're a bow hunter, if I'm not. So
Oh, and both.
yeah, so that time, not only when you're pulling back your bow, which is kind of cool, but it's also neat to be able to enjoy just that extra time when you're kind of doing nothing, right? Where you're enjoying nature.
Time for reflection and everything else. You need those quiet moments every now
Absolutely. It's kind of nice to do that with brethren. I mean, we could, it's crazy. Sometimes we can have a banter going on in the room, and it is fun and it's exciting. And you've got guys running for their pins and their aprons, and almost a Masonic show and tell. Look at this funny
Pastor,
hat. Look at this
without you
hat.
even knowing it.
Look at
Without you even knowing it.
look at this picture. And then you've got other times when it's quiet. Just appreciate it all, because it's nice to know that your brothers are there for you.
Absolutely.
Andrew,
Yep.
unless you have anything else, I was actually going to ask Carl if he can sit up straight and stay on his microphone. Close us.
Before you go to that question, I just wanted to say
sir.
one last thing about the advice. I think the last piece of advice that I'm sure you would add but didn't think of is the host needs to be consistent. Making sure that the toast is always available at the designated times, I think, is one other important thing that's worth just adding. But the rest, stellar. I think that's absolutely the best advice. But that's the one thing that I appreciate about the toast is I know it's going to be there. You know what I mean? You're like, it's every time at 9, it's happening. And so it's up to you if you join, but it's going to be, the room will be open for the brothers,
And this has been every single day since March 27th, 2020. So it's been 5 years, and we've used this for organizing like there's no tomorrow. Brother Miguel is having his lodge is doing a steak fry, or a steak and cigar fry. I'm going to go to that, and then on Friday I'll go to Worshipful Brother Napoleon's Table Lodge in West Dallas. There's all sorts of cool things, and the pulling together for events and learning how to do cool things. I gotta say, I love these brothers. Every single one of you on the toast. I feel honored to have had the opportunity to meet, and and call you brothers. And I'm, I'm really, I'm honored and I'm humbled. But if you want to get a sense for what the toast does, though, 5 years ago we didn't have one person on this toast who was in leadership in anything other than maybe the worshipful master of their lodge. And today we have, I mean, Matt, I got to congratulate you. You're now a district rep. John, you're a district rep. I mean, we got two purple aprons there. We've got Corey Nowak, you're a district deputy. Holy cow. That's fantastic. Max, you're a district education officer, as is brother Napoleon. I mean, this has become a virtual who's who of leadership. And if you're talking about change and change agents, this is right where it happens. I'm inspired when I get to talk to brothers about some of the different events and some of the different educational opportunities. Brother Moriarty just did an incredible talk at Silas Shepherd Lodge of Research about doing business in different doing the business part in different degrees. Brother Jason has done some incredible work and he's run he's gone ahead and presented papers and ideas and run them past us. How can I improve this? How can I improve this? It's really, we're the sounding board. I want to be here for all of you brothers, and you've been there for me, and I love that. I love you brothers, really.
I love you too, Jim.
Love you, brothers.
Absolutely. Every single one of you. And I've watched every single one of you progress to something else. And it's an amazing journey. And you know what? The 9 o'clock toast is what brought that about, to meet so many people and so many changes and elevations and enlightenment that comes to this thing that we call the softest and greatest craft ever. I've watched it. Jim has watched it. This is amazing. And Jim, if you didn't have the brainchild of bringing people together back in 2020, look at it, 5 years and we're still strong, and it's only getting bigger. New members every year joining the toast and coming back, saving people from quitting the fraternity. The toast did that. There were things that we didn't talk about today that had come through where guys were just like, you know what, let me get back. Let me talk to these guys and see, am I making the right choices? Should I step away? Should I stay in? And we've saved guys here on the toast, from making that choice of walking away.
And people have also decided to join because of the toast. Every once in a while, we'll invite a guy in who we know is not a Mason, but I know that he's got questions. And so he'll ask questions and be like, wow, this is pretty cool. And we've got an EA right now, Brother Marcus, who got excited right here on the 9 o'clock toast. And I mean, heck, Brother Carl, he's gone from they'll just becoming what he is. It's like your fourth year, and he's already was recognized as the district Mason of the year.
Third year, Brother Jim.
Oh, it flies.
And there's just one thing, and it came up recently at the Silas Shepherd meeting that Jim was talking about. And the one thing that understand, this isn't some tiled thing. We ask who you are, we talk to you, and we keep things pretty general. We'll give you as much knowledge as we can, but at the same time, it's not a tiled event. Everybody's welcome here, and we try to encourage people to be good men, and that's what we do.
I just handed a 9 o'clock toast pin out to a young man who was one of my subcontractors, who just from having conversations with him would be a good fit, and he is interested and he's curious, and we'll see if we see him. But the only thing I asked him is, please, if I'm not, please let the brothers know that you are not yet a Mason. So
You meant the card, right? You handed out the card?
Yes.
Because the pin is an alumni pin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. I'm sorry.
The cool thing about The cool thing about the alumni pin, which is also on a business card, which we had printed off for, it has the insignia of the 9 o'clock toast with the hands of the square at 9 o'clock, and then the compass is kind of cocked a little bit. So the background has the numbers of the clock and a normal analog clock, and then it has the fire, which is kind of like stoking the fire of brotherly love.
You got anything else? Otherwise, I would normally let it close there, but I think I want somebody to plug something they got going on first.
Okay, go for it.
Carl, stay on your microphone and tell us about Toys for Tots, or whoever's still listening.
All right, Toys for Tots. It's the third year running, but Toys for Tots is what we're running right now is the District 12 Hayes sponsored Toys for Tots Challenge, donation challenge. And what that is we need you to give toys, give money to Toys for Tots prior to December 1st. And how that works is the lodge that makes the largest donation, either in money or toys, wins several things. First of all, and I don't have a picture available to give you here, but they win a traveling trophy. I will also make them a permanent trophy. And the Hayes boys will don their aprons and come to your lodge and serve you dinner, and we will agree on a menu. Last year, South Shore won, and we served them Jim McWiggan's infamous brisket, Norm Siegel's infamous pulled pork, cowboy beans, accoutrements, and 2 kinds of cake with ice cream. Here's the deal about the donation. If you can donate toys, but if you donate money, I have an agreement with Fleet Farm at the least, and I'm working on several other realtors, okay, and we've able to secure approximately 25% discount, so we get 25% more toys for the kids. And that's what it's all about, guys. So I don't want any child to go to sleep or wake up hungry, and I don't want them to go to sleep or wake up without a toy. And that's what it comes down to, brothers. So please, if you don't support District 12, support Toys for Tots, support your own district, do something good for the kids, because kids are what it's all about. That's all I got.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for talking about that for a second. I'm sure if any of our listeners who aren't from District 12 or necessarily even from Wisconsin would be interested in getting more information about how Brother Carl got that all going, if you reach out to us at timeforfellowship@gmail.com, we would be more than happy to help you guys connect.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it. Thank you to our listeners, whether you're from Milwaukee, Omaha, Chicago, Pewaukee, Wheeling, Illinois, Belfort, South Dakota, Dayton, Ohio, the Philippines, Manawa, Wisconsin,
all over the place.
Painesville, Ohio, or San Jose, California. Thank you for tuning in.
Wait.
Yep.
Before you guys go, what made you guys decide to do this? What decided to do your podcast?
Corey sneaks in with the question coming back at us.
So
that is traditionally a 9 o'clock toast thing, by the way.
Yeah, cutting someone off when they're trying to leave.
Steve's not here, so Corey had to keep it going. So Andrew and I always felt like we had interesting conversations and conversations of value at the pub, and we chatted about how we should try to bring that energy and those conversations to more people through a podcast. And that was its genesis. I don't know that we were qualified to ever start doing this, but here we are. This will be episode 99. So we're having a good long run. Almost there to 100. So
yeah, Corey, it became really real.
Matt,
it became
Brother Matt,
yeah.
I have one question for you, as long as Corey opened up that Pandora's box. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you mentioned that the 9 o'clock toast is the cheers of the Masonic world. Okay, so who's Cliff Clavin?
Oh, who's Cliff? Oh. Hmm. You know what, Carl? I'm actually going to give you Cliff.
Oh,
Yep. Yep. I agree.
oh.
Yeah.
All right, fair, fair. I shouldn't ask the question if I didn't want to know the answer. But okay. All right.
I think we got to ask Matt and Andrew one more question. I think a good question is what do they enjoy about the evening toast?
Ah,
Well,
So-
Andrew, you can go first.
As one of the newer, more frequent attendees every week, the thing that I enjoy about the 9 o'clock toast is it definitely is like Cheers. You know that when you walk into the toast, there's going to be some familiar faces. You can sit there, like Jim was saying, and just kind of vibe. Sometimes I'm chatty. Well, I'm usually fairly chatty, but sometimes I'm playing a video game on one screen, but I have it on in the background. Sometimes I'm in, sometimes I'm out. But either way, you know that you can have brothers to talk to, and you never know what you're going to hear. You never know what you're going to walk into. And it could be a silly conversation about Puerto Rican food. You could be talking about some paper someone's writing for an education piece. You just never know. And so it's fun because it's always there. It's always a place you can go. And so if you ever get a free time and you just want to sit down, you can find some brothers to chat with.
What is the longest podcast you've ever had?
Probably.
I'd actually have to go look at episode things. I don't know.
Let's see. Hour and 4, hour and 10, hour and a half.
It started off with them interviewing us. Now we're interviewing them.
Sneaky. I think an hour and a half is the longest because the only ones that would have been longer would have been the annual communication ones, but we break those into 2 parts.
And how long can you go in your podcast? What's your longest?
Technically, we can go as long as we want, but we have an hour 28 minutes is the longest we've ever done, and that was me and Matt riding in a car to Watoma. And then technically we 2-parted that out, and part 2 was 16 minutes. So I don't know why I didn't just put that 16 into the first episode.
I was just gonna say cut it into 40 minutes.
I think I wanted to break it up so I could just have another episode. I mean, this one right now we're at about an hour and 10, so we're pushing the record.
Part of the problem we run into with it is, obviously with editing software and our hosting service that puts it out to Spotify and everything else, there's only a certain number of hours of content that you can put out in each tier.
In each month.
For. So, right. Depending on what tier you choose to pay for. So we're sometimes limited and trying to keep our episode lengths within that range so that we don't run out of time and have to, move up to the next.
We're allotted 6 hours a month. 6 hours a month.
So I promise, one last question out to all the brothers in the gallery. What is the latest you have ever been on the 9 o'clock toast?
4 a.m.
2 a.m.
Wow, 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say the sun was coming up.
4:35 a.m. with Bill from Aurora in Massachusetts. So, yep.
So before you go, I just wanted to give a hats off to Jim and all you guys. Jim starting this. Without Jim, this wouldn't be here. So I guess I wanted to throw that out there. I know maybe it's been said earlier, but thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Here.
Love you, brother.
And then secondarily, I also want to congratulate you guys on your 100th episode coming up here. Definitely know what's going to happen. So congratulations. The podcast is going strong. You got guys all over the place. And from one podcaster to another, man, best of luck going into the future. You guys are doing great. And I love it.
Thank you, Napoleon.
And shout out to Napoleon. Go check out Further Light. It is also a great podcast, great source of education. And if anybody is still listening to this episode at this point, you are my hero. And thanks for sticking with us.
Yep, thanks for tuning in. And I'm going to quickly wrap this up before someone does another question, or else I'm going to mute them. So thanks for tuning in, and everyone have a great day. Be sure to follow us on socials. Check us out on Discord. Yada, yada, yada. Bye.
Thank you, brothers.
Recording stopped.
Well done, guys.
Oh.